And Perry, this is the Energy and Environment Committee. Today is Tuesday, December the 7th, room 1010, City Hall, a little after 9 a.m. in the morning. And we have a lot of cards on item 4. Mr. CLA, tell us what we can consent and what we may want to continue.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Rafael Breda with the CLA's office. We'd like to recommend for consent items 1 through 3. They're pretty standard contracts between DWP, Pure Sanitation, a variety of services.
1 through 3. We don't have a quorum, but that'll be the recommendation. Okay, great. All right, then why don't we go directly to 4. And who is here to make the staff report on 4?
Item number 4 relates to communication for the Mayor of Bureau of Sanitation relative to proposed amendment to the municipal code to include the low-impact development ordinance and related matters.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Adel Hashkhalil. I'm the Assistant Director for the Bureau of Sanitation. With me today I have staff from the Watershed Protection Division, Sharon Karagani, Robert Vega, and many other, Michael Scadudo, that worked with me and worked with the stakeholders on development of this ordinance. I'm very honored, and the Bureau is very honored to present to you what we believe is a workable, business-friendly, and landmark ordinance for low-impact development. The low-impact development ordinance has evolved over the last 2 years to what you have before you today. We've had extensive dialogues, discussions with our stakeholders, and we've made major revisions, enhancements to make this ordinance something that we can all be proud of, that we can implement, that can benefit the city and provide what we look for from this LID ordinance, at the same time not impacting our development community and the building industry. Let me just quickly go through what LID ordinance means and what this ordinance provides. As you know, reports have shown that LID is the most effective and cost-efficient means for managing stormwater and abating water pollution. It's managing runoff and pollution at the source. This is in addition to many other benefits such as water conservation, groundwater recharge, and greening the community. This proposed ordinance will require the use of low-impact design practices in new developments and redevelopments to manage rainwater and urban runoff by requiring on-site measures to capture, infiltrate, and or use rainwater on-site when and where feasible. We estimate that this will provide over 1 billion gallons of rainwater that can beneficially be managed over 10 years. The LID ordinance is a key anchor in all our current and future water quality implementation and compliance plans. Many of the compliance plans approved by your committee and council had the LID element as part of the compliance that's required by the city. LID is an innovative, simple, and cost-effective approach to land development and redevelopment that works in conjunction with the natural process to manage runoff and stormwater. LID uses simple techniques that allow infiltration and capture for use. The LID ordinance is taking our current existing stormwater requirements, known as SUSUMP, and expanding its applicability. So what we have right now is it's exempting any development and redevelopment of less than 500 square feet. However, large developments that are governed right now by SUSUMP will not see a difference, will not see an impact, and basically is changing the priority of how to implement these requirements. We've added new requirements and new elements, specifically for residential properties of 4 units and less. However, through this outreach, we're able to streamline the process and minimize impact. Now, to comply with this requirement, developers will use preset standard best practices without the need for any analysis, and such as rain barrels and rain gardens. We have conducted extensive outreach starting as early as July 2009 with the various community groups and members of the community, business community, the building industry, and environmental groups. As a result of extensive effort, the Board of Public Works had a hearing where we addressed almost many of the issues brought to us and made many of these changes as part of the proposed ordinance that was forwarded to the Mayor and Council back in January 15, 2010. Since then, and subsequent to the board action, we continued our outreach and working with the community and the business and development industry and the environmental groups. We specifically met with Heal the Bay, the Green LA Coalition, the 3 people, but also we met with the Chamber of Commerce, the Building Industry Association, and the Central City Association to further discuss and address issues with the ordinance and what we can do to make this ordinance something that can work for everybody. They raised, especially the building industry, BIA and CCA, raised 3 issues that they requested us to consider as this ordinance comes before your council. One is to eliminate the off-site runoff mitigation fee. Second, to address the issue of developments who have completed application prior to the LID implementation and are delayed beyond the tolling period. And also to have city departments provide support as part of the implementation on any of the off-site mitigation. As a result of this additional input and meetings and discussions and comprehensive review, we have before you today, and we submitted a report to you, asking for revision to be made to the ordinance to address and consider all these 3 issues. We believe that what we have right now is something that is implementable, feasible, and development and business friendly while providing the benefits for the LID practices that we all seek and desire. We believe that all the groups would attest that the Bureau of Sanitation has made every effort to solicit input from all, listen and consider and address all issues and questions. We were very responsive to the input, addressed the input directly, and provided comprehensive changes in the ordinance. I believe a number of organizations actually have provided even support that initially were in opposition, such as the Southern California Contractors Association and Chamber of Commerce. Many of our stakeholders are here today. I thank all of them for being here and working with us and being open with us. I believe the regional board is also here to speak to this issue, but also I want to acknowledge the staff from the Bureau of Sanitation and our partners in the Department of Building and Safety and Department of City Planning and Department of Water and Power. This ordinance, I think, has gone through major changes over 2 years, and we've made it and we've evolved over the last 2 years to something that we believe has addressed all the issues and concerns, and we urge your committee to consider and approve this ordinance and move it forward to council as soon as possible. We're very proud of this effort, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haji Khalil. Is the CAO here on this? Is there a CAO here on this item to give the CAO report? Is this the CAO?
Thank you. It's better than usually.
Just for the record, Mr. Krikorian has joined us.
Emilio Rodriguez, CAO's office. No, there is in fact no CAO report on this item.
And why isn't there one?
It hasn't been referred to our office for a report.
Okay, I will need that. And what about a CLA report?
No, there isn't, Madam Chair.
Okay, and then do you know why there's no CLA report on file?
Also because we have been requested a report, but we certainly can prepare a report for you if you like, in conjunction with the CAO.
All right, and then as you do that, I want you to include building and safety and planning in that report, so we have everything encapsulated in your document, and I need a CAO report, particularly with respect to the fiscal impact?
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Krikorian, just so you know, we consented 1, 2, and 3, and we're on item 4. Just got a staff report from Mr. Haji Khalil, and I think what I'd like to do, Adele, if you can stay, why don't we let the public testimony go next, and then I have questions after that, okay? Let's see how many cards we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, why don't we take, can we drag one more chair up here? We can take 4 people at a time. Okay. Paul Herzog, Pamela Bessler? Is it Pamela Bessler from Surfrider Foundation? Is Pamela here from the Surfrider Foundation? Okay, why don't you come up? Paul Herzog, is Paul Herzog here? All right, come on up. I'm going to call people 4 at a time. Okay, Jason Elias and Osama Yunan.
Madam Chair, 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes is still fine. If we continue to get more cards, we have to cut it back to 1, but for now, 2 minutes is okay. Okay, first is Paul, then Pamela, then Jason, then Osama. Okay.
Good morning to all the council members. I represent Surfrider Foundation, an international organization. There's 70 chapters here in the United States. 20 alone in California. We're just here to support the ordinance. I was here actually before the Board of Public Works almost a year ago, and I thought then that this was going to pass, and I see some compromises have been made. So I'm mostly here just to speak in support, and since that time we've done innumerable projects with residents and businesses or institutions who have implemented low-impact development ordinance type of applications without needing to do it because there wasn't a permit that required them to do it. So the movement is already happening without the ordinance. I think the ordinance would just take it to the next level. So for anybody doing major development, redevelopment, but I just wanted to let you know that for anybody that's in the audience today that has this idea that it's an onerous responsibility, people are doing it because it's the right thing to do and actually saves them some money at the same time. So thank you for letting me speak today.
Thank you. Pamela?
Hello, good morning. My name is Pamela Bursler, and I'm with an organization called G3, the Green Gardens Group. We work with residents and also with professionals to teach them about low-impact design. And I somewhat want to echo what Paul said from Surfrider, and that is that this is a movement that's already underway in large part with residential properties. It is not an onerous thing. It's something that they actually want. And we see that the future of living in Los Angeles really is living within our means and living within the guidelines that are presented here. And I think that I want to just provide for you a perspective from small business owners, such as myself and other professional design professionals. We support this as a green jobs opportunity. This is something that we want to bring to this city and we want to bring to our way of life here. Please support this and move it along so that it isn't stuck in any more committees. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Jason?
Good morning. Jason Elias with Service Employees International Union, Local 721. As you know, we represent wastewater workers, gardeners, as well as environmental engineers, all folks in the city of Los Angeles that deal with both the negative impacts of stormwater as well as trying to create a new infrastructure here in Los Angeles that really tries to actually clean the environment while providing public services, whether it be putting in artificial turf in parks that actually help to filter water as it goes into recharge aquifers, other work. Also as a member of your Green Building Retrofit Workforce Development Advisory Committee, we see also the importance of cleaning the environment, saving water, and saving money. And as the city moves to retrofit municipal buildings, we think it only makes sense to push along the cleaning up of the environment and also economic development in the city. They don't need to be diametrically opposed, these two things, cleaning up the environment and economic development. And so we wholeheartedly support low-impact development ordinance.
Thank you. Osama, and let me call up the next three people, or the next four people. Next will be Maya Zutler, Tom Erb, and I think it's Raul Anore, or Anor. Okay, come on up. Okay, Osama.
Good morning, honorable council members. My name is Osama Yunin with the Department of Building and Safety, and I'm here to inform the committee that Building and Safety has been and will continue to work with Bureau of Sanitation to make sure the implementation of this program would be consistent with our codes and policies and there is no conflicts.
Okay, great. And make sure that you coordinate with the Chief Legislative Analyst Office because we do need to have the staff reports in committee to be able to move it to council, okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, Maya.
Good morning, council members. Maya Zutler on behalf of VICA, Valley Industry and Commerce Association. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the proposed low-impact development ordinance that's before you today. We have appreciated working with the various city departments over the past few months to discuss the details of this proposed ordinance and work out some of the issues that the business community has been raising. We recognize that there are substantial goals that the city is trying to reach with this ordinance. However, we just feel that it is not advisable at this time to move forward with this ordinance. We feel that there are provisions in the ordinance that have been stated in a joint letter that we submitted on behalf of the business community that we feel have far-reaching economic impacts, and they could impact the projects that are currently in the pipeline. We want to ensure that the financial impacts of this ordinance are studied carefully and thoroughly before proceeding forward. And we hope that we can proceed forward with caution, because we are worried that this ordinance may create confusion for developers and builders, especially with projects that are in the pipeline. So we want to ensure that we can proceed forward carefully and we can study the impacts both fiscally and ensure that the key issues that we addressed in our letter are addressed in this ordinance.
Thank you. Tom Erb, Tom Erb, and then Raul
Añorbe.
Okay, Añorbe, and then is Anya in here? And Sean Bezquist? Okay. Okay, Tom, you're next.
Good morning. I'm Tom Erb, the Director of Water Resources at the LA Department of Water and Power. I really applaud the Bureau of Sanitation for working with city departments and many stakeholders on the development of this proposed ordinance. As you know, the city is overly dependent on imported water for our water supplies. We have a number of initiatives to increase our local water supplies, including increased conservation, increased water recycling. Increasing our stormwater capture is one of the key strategies that we need to employ to enhance our local water supplies. There's vast quantities of stormwater that are wasted to the ocean that we're not capturing. So it's important that we change the way we build in the city, and so we look at stormwater as a resource instead of a waste to get rid of. And it's not possible for the city to capture stormwater all in one location, and we've done a number of wonderful demonstration projects to show it can be done, but it's really important on a parcel-by-parcel basis to implement measures that can improve our neighborhoods and improve water quality and capture stormwater. And so I really, one of the things that's really important is almost never can I go out and speak to the public about our water supply situation without somebody telling me that the city needs to do more to capture more stormwater. Everybody's well aware of the stormwater that is just causing a big problem in many parts of the city because we're not handling it properly. So I really urge the committee to approve this ordinance, and thank you very much.
Just for the record, Mr. Koretz has joined us. Tom, are you speaking on behalf of the department?
Yes.
Okay, make sure that you give your input to the Chief Legislative Analyst, because we need to have a report on record from the Chief Legislative Analyst and the CAO. I'm not really sure why this is not here today. Is normally for everything we do before we move it to council, we do that. So I want you to roll I think Osama's from Building and Safety, and anybody else who is in here from a department, so that we can encapsulate each department's position in the CLA report. And obviously the CAO does the fiscal analysis, fiscal impact analysis. So if you can check in with Raphael before you go today, I would appreciate it. Raul?
Yes, good morning. My name is Raul Añorbe, and I'm the Executive Director of the Institute of Public Education of Southern California, IDEPSCA. As you know, we run about 5 day labor centers ever since 1997. And daily there are about approximately 50 to 110 day laborers and household workers waiting in the centers to get jobs. And last year, the City Council approved funding to train day laborers and youth of color on what is called green gardening. After 8 months of training, we developed a curriculum with basic fundamentals on water conservation, harvesting water, and it was a 6-day program. And within that curriculum, there's a really nice unit about LID, and the workers and the household workers who participate in the training are very excited to acquire the skills, and we're ready for the LID ordinance to pass so we can put more workers helping out with this ordinance. So I encourage the committee to pass the LID ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann? On?
Good morning, Ann Nguyen with the Central City Association. First of all, I want to sincerely thank Board of Public Works Commissioner Paula Daniels and Adele Schramm and Michael from the Bureau of Sanitation for all their efforts to reach out to CCA and open the lines of communication with us. We've spent many hours poring over the details of this ordinance, and several of the concepts we've discussed have been incorporated. We are not far off, but we still don't think it's advisable to push forward for a number of reasons. First of all, the City of Los Angeles does not have the final say in this matter, but the Regional Water Quality Control Board does. It's our understanding that they will begin considering their own requirements for LA County in early next year, acting in advance of even a discussion with the regional board about what they're going to do puts the city in a risky position because we'll be forced to rewrite the ordinance if the board moves in a different direction. This would create more confusion and chaos for the real estate industry as they learn one set of rules only for the rules of the game to be changed shortly after. Second, we think that the city should also look more closely at how other municipalities are dealing with this issue, in particular grandfathering. The county's grandfathering provision creates a bright line rule exempting all complete discretionary and non-discretionary permit applications filed before the effective date of the ordinance. The city's grandfathering phases out if the project does not obtain building permits within 3 years of the effective date. This could have far-reaching economic implications for projects in the pipeline, and we believe the city should look into following the county's lead on this topic. There are also other minor issues that have been addressed in our coalition's letter that we request your consideration of. Thank you.
All right. Sean Berquist? Sorry.
Sean Berquist with the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission. A major goal of the Restoration Commission is to improve the water quality and the environment of the of our bay and our watersheds. And this LID ordinance, which we've been working with the city for many years now, helps do both of those things. It not only meets the improves our water quality, but it also helps us meet our water supply goals. It helps us meet EPA and regional board mandates for water quality improvement. And it's a simple, low-tech solution that is greening our city and beautifying our city. And it creates, as we've seen many people here, it creates green jobs and creates spreads the improvements across the entire city rather than doing projects in individual areas, which is what we've been sort of going after now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Weinstein, Dr. Clyde Williams, Samuel Unger. Dr. Williams, come on up. And Stephanie Taylor.
Okay.
Deborah.
Yes.
Go ahead, yeah.
Good morning, my name is Deborah Weinstein. I'm a senior manager at Tree People. Probably familiar with us, a local nonprofit. We've been working on environmental issues for over 35 years. Much of our work at Tree People focuses on green technologies such as low-impact development and using these green technologies to make LA a more sustainable city. Well, a huge part of making LA a more sustainable city is creating a reliable local water supply source. Right now, as you probably know, LA is only getting between 11 and 15% of our water supply from local groundwater. The rest, over 85%, we're importing from Northern California and the Colorado River, which is clearly unsustainable. And we know through our current work with DWP and the Watershed Council that we can significantly increase the amount of local water supply we're capturing from rainwater and stormwater. Implementing this low-impact development ordinance will help us get on a path to a more secure water supply future. As you probably know, Tree People's been demonstrating that these technologies work for decades. We've also been advocating for low-impact development ordinances and policies at different levels of government. But what you may not know is for the first time ever, we actually took this one step further and went out to our entire membership with an action alert because we think this is so important to get this ordinance passed. And within a couple of days, we had over 300 letters come into City Council President Garcetti's office. So this is just another example that Angelinos know how important this is, and we need to get this passed. We have a great opportunity to show the world right now that we have innovative and sustainable solutions to fix the California water crisis. We cannot wait for future permitting processes or future initiatives. we're really past time to get this through. So please pass this ordinance through your committee and through the full city council by the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Dr. Williams.
Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, Northeast LA, also member of the Sierra Club Water Committee. My concern is the emperor's new clothes. Or is it bait and switch? Or is it smoke and mirrors? Fundamental to this proposition is that it should be increased for the less than 4 dwelling units per application. Why? Because 2 rain barrels is 25% of the water containment that is required of the multifamily dwellings. That is, it seems to be good politics rather than good engineering. Effectiveness. A 3/4 inch rain produces 400 gallons of rainwater. I know because I use all of my Bureau of Sanitation drums plus a few other drums that I have, and I'm going to a 400-gallon container soon. Why? Because that collects all of the rainwater in a 3/4 inch storm. Not 2 rain barrels. 2 rain barrels is to get it started. Bait and switch. That is, get everybody to accept 2 rain barrels, and then you can go to 4, or you can say it's ineffective and we need more Proposition O. Proposition O right now doesn't have enough money for operations and maintenance. Why? Because almost 2 years ago, the O&M charges for stormwater on the county tax roll was stopped by the city council. Why? Because it was an increase in fee quite a bit, but now we have Prop 26, so there's even a problem there. Subsidy of the single-family dwelling by the multifamily dwellings is not acceptable.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Samuel Unger, and then Stephanie Taylor, and then if Mort Smith would come up. Is Mort Smith still here? And Mark Gold. Samuel?
Good morning, Chair Perry and honorable members of the committee. My name is Samuel Unger. I'm the Executive Officer of the Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board. And today I'm here to inform you that the Regional Board applauds the city for its initiative to develop a low-impact development ordinance. The ordinance before you today will make significant strides in stormwater runoff management, and in doing so, it will improve the quality of surface waters throughout the city and help reduce costs for the city to meet TMDL requirements. Low-impact development integrates site, hydrological, and ecological goals from individual lots to entire watersheds. There is ample research and practice in the field already that show that LID, low-impact development, is cost-effective in reducing pollution and conserving precious water resources. The Regional Board recently incorporated requirements similar to those in the proposed ordinance in the reissuance of the Ventura County MS4 permit. Based on our review of the proposed ordinance before you today, we believe that it is based on sound science, sound engineering, and sound economics, and that it will form a meaningful basis for both new and redevelopment projects in Los Angeles. And it will also form a meaningful basis as we, the Regional Board, embark on reissuing the MS4 permit for Los Angeles County.
Thank you. Stephanie Taylor?
Yes, good morning, Councilmember Perry and Councilmember Kretz and Councilmember Krikorian. My name is Stephanie Taylor. I'm representing the Green LA Coalition. This ordinance, the Low Impact Development Ordinance, has been a top priority for the coalition since the beginning, and many of the people that are here today in support of the ordinance are members and allies of the Green LA Coalition. We urge the committee to vote today to support the ordinance and move it along without further delay, and you've heard why. We strongly believe that LID is a critical strategy for stormwater management and addressing stormwater pollution. The Green LA members, we've supported the city staff's efforts since the beginning, and we applaud the Bureau of Sanitation staff for engaging such a broad and diverse stakeholder community in refining the ordinance. And we also want to acknowledge that this initiative, as well as other initiatives that have been championed by the Commissioner Paula Daniels, such as the Green Streets, will really put LA in the forefront of green development. And then lastly, I'd like to sort of mention some of the Green LA members that are not here today that are strong supporting the ordinance, including Port Columbia Beautiful and the Los Angeles Conservation Corps, the River Project, Mia Lehrer Associates, and then most of the other members that are here that have communicated with your office to address and express their support for the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mort Smith, Mark Gold, and then Elva Yanez. Is Elva there? Come on up. And then Holly Schroeder. Is Holly here? Holly Schroeder? Yeah, come on up. All right. Mort?
Actually, Mott. That'll teach me to write clearly. How you doing, Ali? So thank you very much, committee, for having us here this morning. I want to congratulate Commissioner Daniels and the city staff for putting together this good ordinance. I am a small developer. I'm a member of the board of the California Infill Builders Association, although I'm representing myself and my own company today. And I'd like to put a slightly different spin on this. We often come forward with small developments trying to do environmentally sound things and implement new technologies that produce better environmental outcomes. And we often run up into problems when we try to get our projects approved through the city because they're new or innovative or don't reflect standard practice. And we see this ordinance as codifying practices which produce environmentally superior outcomes and will actually provide protection for us when we go forward with these innovative proposals in our projects. And so we don't see it as restrictive so much as we see it as enabling. And for that, I'd like to congratulate the city and urge support of this ordinance. Thank you.
Mark Gold.
My name is Mark Gold, and I'm president of the environmental group Heal the Bay. We're in strong support of the ordinance. City of LA would be joining a national and statewide trend to move forward on low-impact development approach to deal with the stormwater issues. I really want to give a praise to Department of Public Works and the Bureau of Sanitation in particular for working round the clock for 18 months with everyone on this issue. So this is not something that's coming to you quickly. It's an innovative, pragmatic approach to reduce stormwater pollution, augment local water supply, improve flood control, and to green Los Angeles. Just recently, as you heard from Sam Unger, Ventura County and the 11 cities within the county have had their stormwater permit approved by the Regional Water Quality Control Board, so they have a far-reaching low-impact development requirements that are already on the books for them. There's been numerous concessions that have been made to the Building Industry Association and the CCA over the last year to weaken this ordinance, and I want to go over them briefly so you understand what's already happened, yet you're still hearing further demands from those groups. Number one, there was a grandfather clause that was added to this, a 3-year grandfather clause with the tolling requirement. Number two, there was removal of the off-site mitigation fee option on their request. There was the addition of a biofiltration option, something that doesn't exist in the Ventura County stormwater permit, and an easy alternative to comply with the ordinance requirements off-site, and those are just some of the changes that have been made. Also, the Bureau of Sanitation has made it much easier for single-family homes to comply. So any further weakening of the ordinance would be strongly opposed by Heal the Bay. The ordinance has been modified in the spirit of collaboration. Public Works continues to meet on the low-impact development handbook to ensure that ordinance compliance requirements are clear and common sense. The ordinance is the logical next step for the city's existing stormwater requirements for new and redevelopment. We strongly urge committee approval.
Thank you. Elva Yanez, Holly Schroeder, and then Edward Belden. Is Edward here? Come on up. And Marcus Castaigne. Is Marcus here? Come on up. Okay.
Hi. My name is Elva Yanez, and I'm here representing the Latino Urban Forum, an organization dedicated to improving the quality of life and sustainability of Latino communities in the LA metro region. The LUF Board supports the strong provisions of the Low Impact Development Ordinance to ensure better management of stormwater and urban runoff and reduction of associated pollution in LA. We ask this committee to support the policy and endorse lid requirements for public and private development. Such action will bring the city in line with similar policies adopted in LA County and Ventura County, resulting in regional consistency in sustainable development practices. With the goal of becoming the largest green city in the U.S., LA cannot wait for long-delayed permit processes to move forward. Lid best management practices are proven to be a cost-effective way to manage runoff and protect the environment, as you already heard. We included among the range of important community benefits. Lid practices will help the city meet Clean Water Act requirements, augment local water supplies, improve water quality, flood control, and protect habitat. Lid practices will also help move forward the goals of the LA River Revitalization Plan. We applaud the leadership of the Department of Sanitation and the Board of Public Works to manage stormwater and urban runoff using lid methods. Please support this policy. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Holly Schroeder.
Thank you. Holly Schroeder with the Building Industry Association, representing the home building industry. We have been working with the Bureau of Sanitation, as you've heard from others, for the past year, a little over a year, and we appreciate that they have been responsive to a number of our concerns. And we appreciate that because we do believe in low impact development. We do think that it is a workable strategy, but we do also know that as builders and developers, the devil is in the detail, and the engineers need to be able to have parameters that they can work with. So while we appreciate the progress to date, we still think that there are a few technical issues in there, most notably in some of the off-site mitigation requirements. We're really not clear on how that's going to work. And also what we find is that because the devil's in the details, the manuals and the accompanying documents are very important, and the best management practices handbook, one of the concessions they made is that they agreed that would be done before the ordinance goes into effect, and it's not ready yet. There's been a lot of work. There's still some key definitions that remain undecided, and that leads us to not be ready to support the ordinance at this time. Also, as you heard, the LA board is going to be acting quickly. I don't think these are long delayed processes. This is, if we want regional consistency, as the previous speaker said, the way to do it is through the regional board. Your city is one of many co-permittees under that permit. They have a variety of voices from other cities that are going to come together and weigh in on that permit. And if you act now, it's likely that you're going to need to change the ordinance after that. And for the development community going through a very difficult recession, that's a changing of the goalposts that's going to be very confusing and it's going to be very difficult for the industry to accommodate. So we want to continue to work forward. We want to work with you as you move forward in discussions with the LA board, but we ask that you hold off right now. Thank you.
Edward Belden.
Yes, my name is Edward Belden. I'm the Water Programs Manager with the LA and San Gabriel Rivers Watershed Council. We need innovative solutions to reduce costs to our existing infrastructure, provide local supplies of water, reduce flooding, improve the quality of our rivers and beaches, and reduce our energy demand and carbon emissions from treatment and supply of water. And the low-impact development principles that are in this ordinance provide these solutions. The Watershed Council, in collaboration with numerous partners, compiled more than 7 years of data looking at infiltration projects in the LA Basin and found them to be safe and effective. The groundwater augmentation model has found that a 3/4-inch storm, if you're able to capture that over that whole LA Basin, you're able to provide approximately 383,000 acre-feet of new water recharged into the groundwater supply. It's approximately 60% of the demand for the LA City alone. The Elmer Avenue neighborhood retrofit in Sun Valley demonstrates many of the LID methods that can capture and recharge stormwater that have been embraced by the 24 homes along the street, including 13 homes that have LID measures on their own private property. We have many residents that wanted to speak today. Many of them couldn't make it, but I have one letter from one of the residents that I'll just briefly read. I spoke with Diana Inklar. She's a resident along Elmer Avenue. She loves all the best management practices that have been installed, including the permeable pavers and the rain barrel on her private property and the bioswale along the public right-of-way. It has helped reduce the amount of water running down the street and created a space that brings the neighborhood together where the kids play like they never used to. She even uses the rain barrel to fill up her watering can for her plants. She receives numerous compliments from visitors of the surrounding blocks that now walk down her street and ask her about the swales, the native and drought-tolerant plants, the rain barrels, and then the locking pavers, and want to know how to install them on their own properties and their own streets. She says these types of LED features that are included in the ordinance will only be a plus for any neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Marcus Castaigne, Ed Hunt, Christopher McKinnon, and Tom Rothman. And Tom, where's Tom? Come on up. Are you here speaking on behalf of the department? Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to ask you again to work with the CLA and roll everything, your position, the department's position into the CLA report. We have about 10 more cards, 2 minutes each, so we'll be up against 10 o'clock. I have some questions I need to put on the record, and so if you don't need to take the whole 2 minutes, feel free not to. Okay. Marcus Castaigne.
Good morning, council members. My name is Marcus Castaigne, and I am the founder and CEO of Generation Water. We're a workforce development organization focused on green jobs. I'd like to speak on behalf of the lit ordinance and really make 2 points. The first is about water availability or water supply in the region. Last year I led a study tour through the Owens Valley, through the Colorado River area, and then up through the Delta. And it is just absolutely astonishing when you see how low those reservoirs are. And you realize that our way of importing water into the region, 85% of our water coming from outside of the LA area, and then just pouring it out into the ocean is completely unsustainable. And the area that we need to improve on is what this ordinance focuses on, which is outdoor irrigation. And so we have to reclaim that water. It's completely unsustainable that we continue to live this way. The second is that this can be a fantastic catalyst for green jobs and for creating jobs and developing a workforce and upskilling the existing workforce focused on landscape. And that is the focus of my organization. We recently won a grant, Green Innovation Challenge from the state of California to build a workforce focused on water efficiency. That's focused on LA County, and the question I think for all of you is the city of Los Angeles going to continue to be a leader or become a laggard in this area and allow other cities in the region to move forward? And of course, I'd very much like to see the city of Los Angeles be a leader and step forward in that way. So I'd urge you to support the lit ordinance. Thank you.
Ed Hunt. Before Ed speaks, let's see, we have Ed Hunt, Christopher McKinnon, Tom Rothman, and then Ida Talala. Is Ida here? Come on up. Okay, Ed.
I'm Edward Hunt. I'm chairman of the Hollywood Studio District Neighborhood Council Planning and Land Use Committee and a 32-year resident of Hollywood. And our neighborhood council strongly supports this. And I just want to talk about one particular aspect of it. We have a serious problem in our neighborhood council in Hollywood in that we're seeing a lot of people illegally paving over their front yards for parking. And we're having a terrible time getting good enforcement against it. We've had 3 recent cases. 2 were approved by a zoning administrator, one by the Central Area Planning Commission for variances to do this. And they apparently simply consider it selling an entitlement for a fee. And so one of the main reasons we support this, in spite of all the many, many good reasons, is we hope to put a stop to this illegal parking in front yards and paving in front yards. We followed the ordinance for 18 months. We think the Sanitation Department and Public Works has done excellent outreach, and we hope you'll pass it without further delay. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here representing the Mar Vista Community Council, and I'd like to read into the record a short letter. January 12th, 2010, it's hard to believe it's that long, but the Mar Vista Community Council Board of Directors at its regular January 12th board meeting approved the following motion. Whereas stormwater pollution, water shortages, flood control, climate change, and the availability of natural green space have all become pressing environmental issues for the city of Los Angeles, and whereas low-impact development has been designed to address many of these concerns, and whereas the Mar Vista Community Council shares these concerns and would like to lend support to practices that encourage and provide for sustainability and smart growth that preserves the characteristics of the city's watersheds, water supplies, and natural resources, And whereas the community of Mar Vista believes that the Stormwater Low Impact Development Ordinance will benefit the residents of our community and the City of Los Angeles by replenishing groundwater supplies, improving the quality of surface water runoff, stabilize natural stream characteristics, preserve natural site characteristics, and minimize downstream impacts, especially the water quality of our local beaches. Therefore, the Mar Vista Community Council supports the City of Los Angeles Stormwater Low Impact Development Ordinance. Thank you, Albert Olson, Chair. On a personal note, I have 4 rain barrels, one of them provided by the city's pilot program, which I believe has been hugely successful, and also remove my lawn and collect most of the stormwater that's running from my property. So in the spirit of the climate change conference going on this week in Cancun, I urge the committee to pass this on to the full council for a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom Rothman?
Good morning, Tom Rothman from the Planning Department. I'm here today to talk about how the Planning Department's been involved with the implementation of this ordinance, and we're also ensuring that it's consistent with any ongoing zoning efforts, especially the upcoming revisions to the city's landscape ordinance and any other zone changes that are going into the zoning code.
Okay, great.
That's it.
And again, because it's pretty much standard procedure that we do have a CLA report and a CAO report.
I will check on
so
that.
I want you to check in with Mr. Prieto.
Certainly.
And then let's put this all together. Okay. Ida Talala, Ida, before you speak, I want to call up Peter Herzog, Will Wright, and Greg Wrights. Okay, Ida, go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Ida Talala. Stormwater can no longer be considered a disposable and dispensable commodity. The work done by various organizations and city agencies is to be applauded. Thank you so much. Echo Park Tap, which is a trash abatement project to keep trash out of storm drains and improve water quality, supports this ordinance and urges this committee to adopt it without further delay. I speak about my own area, Echo Park. Echo Park has benefited from an $85 million Prop O lake rehab grant. Had we had LID much earlier, probably we would not be in the position we are in now. LID will help to maintain water quality after this very expensive project has been undertaken. It will help on an ongoing basis. It is of urgent concern as what is washed into storm drains is unacceptable at any number of levels. Please pass this much-needed ordinance without delay or modification by developers. We owe it to this city to be more productive about our water resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peter Herzog, and then Will, and then Greg, and then Michael Lewis. Michael Lewis, are you here? Come on up. Okay, Peter.
Hey, thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, my name is Peter Herzog. I'm with NAIOP SoCal, which is the Commercial Real Estate Developer Association. We're a nonprofit organization that works and has enjoyed working with the city on this project. And while there has been movement forward, there is still much to be done. In particular, and particularly in light of the Chair's comments on time, I'll just focus on 2, and those are definitions. Some of the changes that were mentioned were 2 specific items, the biofiltration, and also then there's the issue of what's feasible. And if you notice in the ordinance, there are no definitions at all of either of those terms, none whatsoever. And additionally, what staff did when they did place in the biofiltration treatment system, they called it, quote, high removal efficiency biofiltration treatment system. Again, no definitions whatsoever. We have no idea what that is. Additionally, on page 7 of the ordinance, it goes on to say that the biofiltration system shall comply with the standards and requirements of the LID section of the manual. We've never seen it. The manual has not gotten to that far state, so we even know what we're talking about as far as what standards, and you can't design a project without standards. Then there's the issue of technical feasibility. Again, no definition whatsoever anywhere in the ordinance. We have no idea what that means, and in fact, on page 8 of the ordinance, it specifically says we won't know what that definition is until the handbook's done. It says that we have to require technically infeasible as defined in the lids section of the manual. Again, no definition whatsoever. I was present at the November 4th stakeholder meeting, and they indicated they had not reached any definitions of those terms. So as of today, the commercial industrial industry has no idea of these two critical components, what they mean, how they would be implemented, and what would be the standards. That's an impossible situation to proceed with. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Will Wright.
Hi, good morning. My name is Will Wright, and I work for the American Institute of Architects. We're here to support the initiative. I want to personally commend the patience and the passion of Commissioner Daniels and the Board of Public Works and the Bureau of Sanitation. I do want to add 3 additional considerations here. First of all, we encourage the city to look at this for its own projects as well. We look at the public right-of-way as the true opportunity to implement these initiatives. To be honest, there's not going to be all that much more development. And then third, when we're looking at the most sustainable system as a city, we really have to start balancing whether or not maybe certain projects that don't have the opportunity based on lot line to lot line considerations, how we're going to still incentivize or encourage those projects knowing that they may be answers to some of our regional problems. So with those 3 considerations and the support, we do offer the resources of the AIA to develop this manual so that some of these technical considerations can be better understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Wrights, and then Michael Lewis, and then the last speaker is Tom Stout. Is Tom Stout here? Come on up, Tom.
Good morning. My name is Greg Wrights. I'm with Rethink Development. We're a for-profit developer. We recently completed a building in Hollywood designed to achieve LEED Platinum, and it is a for-profit project. I have 2 points to make. First is we implemented LEED compliant measures in our project on a voluntary basis. And the point I'd like to make is that it is physically possible and it's not that difficult to do. The difficulties that we had were more with getting approval from the city. And I believe that this ordinance will in fact make that a lot easier. So the physical, the actual building of it, not very difficult, but getting it approved was quite difficult. So this will enable environmental developers to proceed with these kinds of things in a much easier manner. The second thing is, I frankly think it's in developers' best interest to implement LID measures. And the reason being is we have a limited water supply in Southern California, and there's becoming a greater and greater demand for that over time. And if we're forward thinking, we'll be replenishing those water supplies so we can continue development in Southern California. So I believe it's in our best interest to make sure that that happens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Lewis, and then our final speaker is Tom Stout.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Michael Lewis. I'm the Senior Vice President of the Construction Industry Coalition on Water Quality. I distributed for you a copy of a study that we commissioned about 7 years ago by Brown and Caldwell to look at this very topic and how we might best resolve the issue of how to manage stormwater. I wanted to point out to you that one of the areas that I think your ordinance needs some more work is in this idea of neighborhood or sub-watershed or mini watershed solutions. Going a parcel by parcel solution, we don't believe is in the long term is going to be a successful strategy. If you look back over history, there have been plenty of times when we've relied on individual parcel owners to be responsible for, in one case, they're burning their trash. Everybody had a backyard incinerator. That turned out not to be such a good idea for a lot of reasons, and we went to a regional collection and disposal system. The same thing occurred with the septic tank system, and everybody was supposed to be responsible for managing their own sewage. That turned out not to be such a good idea, and we don't believe that using that same strategy for stormwater in the long run is going to get you where you need to go. You need to be looking at the possibility of a development that maybe can't manage all of its own stormwater, being able to go down the street and perhaps for less money build a system that might manage not only their stormwater but the stormwater from the neighborhood. It doesn't just rain on new development. You're going to be playing on the margin if all you do is go on a parcel by parcel basis the 15 or 20 years from now, we might be sitting in this room wondering what happened when we've only got perhaps 3 to 5% of the parcels in the city that are actually managing stormwater, and we haven't made the kind of progress that you're looking for. So we'd like to see this ordinance amended to include a much broader vision and the opportunity for those regional solutions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Last speaker is Tom Stout.
Yeah, I'm Tom. I'm with Stout Landscape Design. I'm a licensed contractor here in LA. And to dovetail that, I have been, for the last couple of years, working on individual projects and saving homeowners a lot of money with their water, savings and bioswales and recycling the water and using it in their garden. And it's created a lot of jobs for me and for my crews, and it's really a great thing for the environment and the community, and I fully support it.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, that'll close our public comment portion. Mr. CLA, what is the last date we are in session before we go into holiday recess?
December 17th.
Okay, so Adele, thanks, come on back. And then where's the CAO? Okay, come on up. Okay, so can we schedule a follow-up committee meeting?
14th.
The 14th, and then put a placeholder in for the 17th for the city council. Adele, I need for you to get these things done by the 14th so that we can move ahead. And I'm sorry, I know it's the holidays, but if you want to get this done, this is the way we're going to have to do it, okay? And same for the CAO. We need a report on the record regarding the fiscal impact so we can take this to full council on the 17th. And in doing your report, Mr. CLA, would you please include the input from Building and Safety, from Planning, and I think Mr. Erb was here from the Department of Water and Power today. I don't think I missed any departmental representatives, did I?
No,
okay.
If not, we'll round them up and get them.
All right, great. And then Mr. Haji Khalil, what I'd like for you to make sure that you have done is the best management practices language there in the report, so we can take that to council. I would like CLA to break out for us, not only in committee, but for the full council, because I suspect it will arise as a question, the differences between the proposed lid and the standard urban stormwater mitigation plan requirements. You can just do a very simple, column-to-column comparison. Adele, I need for you to get the BMP done so that we can see that before we go and actually vote on the ordinance itself. For the CLA, the new 2011 Cal Green standards and an explanation as to how they aid the mitigation of stormwater runoff capture. And again, maybe that's a third column, actually.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Then bullet point explanation of the permit process if the lid ordinance is to pass, and obviously you can get a lot of input on that from Building and Safety and Planning. Any other mandatory programs that we have or ordinances that are currently in effect here in the city of Los Angeles calling for runoff capture and infiltration. Again, if you would just hit that in the report. And then for CAO, the price associated with the proposed ordinance and, what that means. Then final analysis, this will probably go in the CLA report, but you guys work that out. I just want you to explain the Regional Water Quality Control Board and its own consideration of lid requirements and how that dovetails with our timeline. And, you can probably get a sense of where they're going with it.
Sure.
And whether we're running on a fairly clear parallel track or whether or not we're working at any cross purposes on any of these points. Because I don't want to go through this and then have to go through it again.
And Madam Chair, if I could just add, in order for the CAO to provide an accurate fiscal impact, those definitions are going to be critical. Those standards have to be met. So the sooner they provide that to us.
Actually, that was my checklist.
Yeah.
I do want the definitions in there. And if you've been working on this for 18 months, it shouldn't be that hard for you to go ahead and put them together in a report form. I actually thought Also, what I'd like for you to add, and Mr. Wright from the AIA added in some reference to the public right-of-way. I thought that was, so I know we've done a little of that downtown, and I think that it would be interesting to broaden that a bit, because that's something that under which we actually, can do, and it has less of a fiscal impact. And if you need to, is Will still here? Oh, there he is. Okay. Did you put a letter on the record, Will?
In January, I can research.
Yeah, just give it to Raphael. Okay. I think that covers it. Now, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Koretz, if you have anything to add, this would be the time.
I'll try to be very brief since we're late for council, but let me say first, Madam Chair, that I appreciate your insistence upon getting this information into our committee record, because this has been a great process of policy development, and I applaud Commissioner Daniels on her leadership and the environmental community and working with the development community to make a policy that works. But the council has to be a full participant in that process too, and so I think it's very important that we have that in committee. But this brief delay should not be seen in any way, I think, as a step back or a lack of full commitment to moving forward with this vitally, vitally important policy. This city is far too dependent on imported water. We're strategically vulnerable because most of our imported water comes through small pinch points that are very vulnerable to earthquake and homeland security issues. There's an immense cost in importing this water. The state of California uses 25% of its electricity to move and treat water. And so if we ever want to have a real impact on global warming and local air quality, we're going to have to rely much more on local water. With the environmental degradation that's going on in the Delta, in the Owens Valley, and the Colorado River, it isn't sustainable to continue to increase our importation of water. And so we have to move forward on this. There's 2 million acre-feet storage capacity in the San Fernando Valley groundwater reservoir alone. And yet, the state of California is talking about spending over $5 billion for surface storage in a few dams in Northern California with less capacity than that. So for a tiny fraction of that cost, we can fully implement local groundwater storage. We can remediate through dilution much of the contamination in that reservoir. It's absolutely imperative that we move forward with this policy with all deliberate speed. At the same time, it's important that we get it right. So thank you, Madam Chair, for insisting on that focus on detail. But let's continue to work, continue to get this right, and move forward as quickly as we can.
Great. Mr. Kretz, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would first just say ditto. You said that perfectly, and I won't add too much. That was very articulate. It's absolutely true that we have less and less access to water from other places, so we need to use our stormwater and our wastewater effectively so that we don't waste a drop of our own water that we don't need to. One thing I'd like to ask that we...
Hang on just for a second. Before Mr. Krikorian leaves the room, we're going to go down to council. Let's go back, and can we revote
Sure.
1, 2, and 3, which
Sure.
if there's no objection to 1, 2, and 3, we have a quorum now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The one thing I'd ask that we look at that was included in a letter from various organizations that represent the business community on development agreements and vesting tentative track maps. If we could address that directly, I think that's a problem if we don't, and certainly there are places
We
like...
want that included in the CLA's report?
Yes. There are places like Cedars-Sinai and others in my district that would be impacted. I'd like for us to give clearer direction on how we're going to handle that.
And also the analysis is with respect to the fiscal impact on that.
And I have a lot of other questions, but I'll just ask those at our follow-up
Do
meeting.
you want to put them on the record now? Why don't you do that so they can come back with the answers?
Okay, let me...
Get it done.
All right, I'll just ask a few of them on the record. Whether or not there are conflicting priorities between more density and low-impact development. whether Public Works can describe who will be doing the plan checking from day one on this, so that I can be sure we've thought that through. And just what is the value added from a low-impact development that we don't already get from our current stormwater mitigation plan? And I have other more minor questions, but those are probably the main ones.
Well, maybe what you can do is give them to the CLA so that they can put them as part of the report. So you have your answers back on the record.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. CLA, so we will be back on this on the 14th?
The 14th.
Okay, at 9 a.m., and then you will get a placeholder in for the 7th?
For the 17th.
In full council, okay. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Haji Khalil. I know that you will pull it together very quickly.
Thank you very much. We'll do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
All right, now this is the time during the committee meeting for items that are not on the agenda. Dr. Williams, you filled out a card for public comment. Dr. Williams, is he still here? All right. Okay, it doesn't appear that Dr. Williams is here, so we will adjourn the meeting.